Hey guys, it's Emily Lane from NP Guide. Today I'm here to talk to you about FNP board examinations. AANP versus ANCC. Which one should I take? That is a question I get all the time, and I made a video in 2018 covering this, but there's been some major changes, so it's time to do an updated video on both of those. So to start off, let's talk about AANP. So this one is 150 questions. 135 of those are graded and 15 are not. You will not know which 15 are not graded. They're just going to be slammed in there with the rest of them, but 15 of them are not graded. On the ANCC, there's 175 questions. On that one, 150 of them are graded and 25 are not. Again, you won't know which 25. The breakdown of the question topics for AANP, it's all clinical. They're all multiple choice. You will have 3 hours to take the exam, and you will get an immediate pass-fail once you get done with the test. If you fail, your score report will be mailed to you. You need to get 500 out of 800. It is not a percentage because each question is weighted differently, so that means some questions are worth more than other questions. The pass rate for AANP in 2019 was 86%. Okay, so 86% of those who took it for the first time passed it the first time. Then let's go over to ANCC. On ANCC, the breakdown of those 175 questions, 90% of them are going to be clinical based and 10% are non-clinical. That means those will be questions on definitions of scope of practice, collaboration, insurance, policy, things like that. Types of questions that you will have, the question format. You'll have a lot of multiple choice, that'll be a majority of it, but you can also have drop and drag, hotspot, and multiple response. So the drop and drag and hotspot are going to be kind of different than you've seen probably even on your tests in school. So hotspot is clicking on like an image to identify a certain thing. Drop and drag can be like putting things in order or matching things. Again, a majority of your questions will be multiple choice, but you can have some of those alternative style questions on there. So with the scoring, it's very similar. It's an immediate pass or fail. If you fail, your score will be mailed to you. The score that you need for this one is 350 out of 500. Again, it's not a percentage because each question is weighted differently. And the pass rate for ANCC in 2019 of first-time candidates was 87%. So in 2019, they're basically the same. It used to be that a lot less people passed ANCC. It used to be considered harder. They've now tried to make those two examinations almost identical to the point where they dropped most of their non-clinical test questions on ANCC to make it very similar. So cost of the examinations, AANP is $315, whereas ANCC is $395. There are some discounts that you can get on those. If you are a member of AANP, your test will be discounted to $240 for the AANP examination. And then for ANCC, you will pay $295 if you're a member of the American Nurses Association and $340 if you're a member of AANP. All right, next question about them. Let's go into testing center. The testing center for AANP is the PSI testing center. You'll need to take with you 2 forms of ID, one of which must have a picture and signature and be issued by the government, which means you need a driver's license, passport, or military ID. The second thing you need is something that has your signature and pre-printed legal name, so that would be your credit card, social security card, or an employee ID. For the and also for your authorization to test, once you've received authorization to test, you have 120 days to schedule your examination. You can reschedule for free through PSI up to 2 days before your examination, and a new date must be within those original 120 days of authorization to test. For ANCC, you'll be going to Prometric. Prometric requires 1 form of ID, which is your driver's license, passport, or military ID. Once you've received your authorization to test from the ANCC, you have 90 days to schedule your exam. You can also cancel or reschedule for free up to 2 days prior to the examination. Next question is, how often is the test updated? When am I going to get new information? Which guidelines am I supposed to study? So for AANP, it's remade every year in May. So there's 2 versions of the test available per year. The exam questions are written in the previous year. So 2020's test was written in 2019. So whichever guidelines came out by 2019 would be guidelines that could possibly be included in the 2020 version. So if a new guideline comes out a week before you test, it's not going to be incorporated. They only rewrite the test every year, and it's written the year before. Okay. And then for ANCC, their test is redone only every 3 to 5 years. The last time it was updated was in 2019, and there are multiple versions of this examination. I couldn't find an exact number. I can't tell if it's a test bank that's like just randomly picked from, or if there's just multiple versions of the test. They were not clear on their site on what that is. Can you get picture questions on your examination? Yes. On AANP, not likely. There can be one EKG or one X-ray, but it's been years since anyone's reported that they've had one. But on the ANCC, you're more likely to have pictures such as an EKG strip, chest X-ray, or identifying a skin or eye condition based off of the image that you're presented. Another question is, do I need to memorize labs? For AANP, you do not need to memorize labs. They give you all the normal ranges on the examination. For ANCC, the answer is yes, you need to memorize these: the CBC with diff, BNP, thyroid panel, PSA, cholesterol, liver enzymes, diabetes labs like A1C, fasting glucose, ESR, iron panel. Okay. How many times a year can I retake these examinations? For the AANP, you can only take it 2 times per calendar year, from the first of 2020 to the end of 2020, because again, there's 2 versions of the test. You have to complete 15 CEs before you retest. For ANCC, you can take it 3 times per 12 months. So any 12 months, it doesn't have to do with the calendar year there. And you can do it every 60 days. So you have to wait 60 days between testing. Okay. Recertification, this one's a very important note. Okay. So for recertification with AANP, you have to have 1,000 practice hours every 5 years. That's working full-time for 6 months. That's it. So it's not very many hours total. For ANCC, you can use practice hours, you can use continuing education, publications, etc. There's about 8 different ways to recertify with ANCC. That's why this one is really preferred among academics and researchers, because if they don't end up being in the clinical setting, they can have multiple different ways to recertify. So if you're not interested in practicing for the rest of your career, go ahead and just take ANCC, so you're not worried about having to come up with interesting ways to recertify with AANP, like volunteering or picking up something part-time or per diem. So if you're going to do academics and research, go ahead and just take ANCC. The next question is, are they recognized in other countries? This is a very hard question to answer. My understanding was if you're going to practice overseas, you take ANCC, but after doing extensive research for this video, I couldn't get a straight answer. Some countries seem to recognize one, other, or both, and each one of their websites for certain countries, I went for major countries like Canada, the UK, Germany, places like that, and even their websites weren't super specific on which board they recognize. So I would just exercise caution, and if you know you're moving somewhere, go ahead and research what that country wants. Specifically with Canada, it seemed to be variable between provinces. So most provinces like the ANCC, but some of them do take AANP as well. So if you have a plan to move during your career and you already know, go ahead and try to contact that country's nursing regulatory body and see if you can find out what board they need. All right, so what are the total numbers of FNPs certified? So by AANP, there's 118,000 in 2019 and around 19,000 of those tested in 2019. For the ANCC, there's about 74,000 certified by ANCC and about 5,700 of those tested in 2019. So that gives you an idea that a lot more people do seem to take AANP than ANCC. That's just more for your knowledge. And then last but not least, how do I write my credentials once I pass my boards? So for AANP, you'll write your name as FNP-C, and for ANCC, you'll write it FNP-BC. All right, guys, that kind of wraps it up and everything that I found for my master guide to FNP board examinations. I have a paper copy of this document, and it's just for my Patreon supporters. So if you're interested in joining my Patreon, check out the links in the bottom. There's lots of benefits to being a Patreon member, including board reviews, test questions, documents like these, study plans, and more. So check it out in the links. Go ahead and like and share. Thanks.